They say the secret to living past 100 is kale, ketosis, and constant suffering. We disagree. Welcome to Buddhist Wisdom for the Elderly, where we believe growing older should feel less like a punishment and more like a well-timed joke told by the universe. Because here's the truth. The people who live the longest, like Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, aren't choking down celery sticks and tracking their bowel movements on an app. They're sipping miso, laughing at their joints, walking like they still have somewhere holy to be. So today we'll walk you through 7 daily practices that won't just help you live longer, they'll help you live lighter. Each part will give you a gentle Buddhist phrase, why it hurts when we ignore it, a story of someone just like you, and a better way to walk through it spoonful by spoonful. And don't miss part 6, where we reveal why laughter may be better for your heart than any low-sodium diet. Yes, even the weird, wheezy, snotty kind. If that sounds like your kind of medicine, like and subscribe to help us reach our first 1,000 gentle rebels, and keep making videos for wise souls like you. So grab your tea, your heating pad, and your skepticism. Let's begin with a man who outlived his fear of dying and smiled all the way to 105. Part 1, 80% full, 100% alive, the art of spiritual hunger. Let's start with something deceptively simple. Not a secret herb, not a lost samurai diet, just a quiet, gentle rebellion against a culture that tells you to eat until you hate yourself. It's called hara-hachi-bu, a phrase from Okinawa, one of the world's longest living communities. It means eat until you're 80% full, not stuffed, not sleepy, not silently negotiating with your colon, just mostly full, a little bit hungry, light enough to walk, think, and possibly dance. Now in the West, this sounds like madness, because here, we've turned eating into a sport. Clean your plate, get your money's worth, don't waste food, children are starving somewhere, as if your overeating is going to teleport a cheeseburger to Malawi. Let me tell you a story. Meet George, 75, widowed, retired accountant, and proud member of the Clean Plate Club since 1953. Every meal was a performance, a moral victory over leftovers. Even after his wife passed, he found comfort in the rhythm. Microwave, recliner, silence, repeat. Food became his companion. Not the joyful kind, the kind that overstays its welcome and makes you gassy during funerals. One day, George read about hara-hachi-bu. He scoffed. Only 80% full? What am I, a Buddhist rabbit? But curiosity crept in. He tried it once, then twice. By week 3, something strange happened. He stopped snoring, his naps turned into walks, his pants stopped trying to assassinate his liver. More importantly, he started remembering the joy of leaving room. Room for breath. Room for ease. Room for dessert, the metaphorical kind. So why does 80% work? Because your stomach isn't just a trash bin, it's a temple. And you've been throwing fast food wrappers at the Buddha. From a Buddhist psychology perspective, overeating is rarely about hunger. It's about grasping. The unspoken desperation to fill an emotional void, loneliness, boredom, grief, or that gnawing sense that if we stop chewing, we might hear our own thoughts. Aging only intensifies this. Many older adults don't overeat because they're hungry. They overeat because they miss companionship, because food still shows up even when people don't. But hara-hachi-bu isn't about discipline. It's about gentle self-respect. It says, I trust myself to pause. I don't need to be stuffed to be satisfied. I can stop, not because I'm forcing myself, but because I'm listening. Here's the kicker. Science backs it too. Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that mild caloric restriction improves metabolic health, reduces oxidative stress, and increases lifespan in older adults. But let's be honest, that's not why you'll do it. You'll do it because for the first time in years, you'll leave the table feeling light enough to smile. Not like a punished dog who's been force-fed willpower, but like someone who gave their body exactly what it needed, and nothing it didn't ask for. Practical tip, try this tonight. Make a small plate, sit somewhere quiet, take a breath between each bite like you're meditating with your molars. When you feel satisfied, not stuffed, stop. Then, here's the fun part, just sit, let your body catch up. Spoiler, it always does, it's just slower than your ego. Let's bring back George for a moment. It's been 6 months. He's lost weight, yes, but more than that, he's gained space. Space in his home, in his thoughts, in his life. He now eats alone, but no longer feels lonely. Because every meal is a moment, a ritual, a gentle reminder he is still here, still breathing, still light enough to walk to the mailbox without a stomach-related emergency. So ask yourself, are you eating because you're hungry or because you're afraid of the silence? Do you stop when you're full or when your shame kicks in? Can you sit with that little space inside you, the 20% you left untouched, and feel peace? Because in that 20% lies the secret most people never taste: freedom. The kind that Dr. Hinohara carried in his step even at 100. The kind that doesn't come from another diet, but from finally not needing one. Coming up next, the most disrespected superfood in America that Japanese elders bless before eating. And no, it's not kale. God help us. Part 2, why the smartest old people eat beans and talk to their food. Let's talk about beans. Yes, beans. The food you've spent most of your life trying to avoid in public. The punchline of digestive jokes. The humble legume that most Western seniors write off as either hippie bait or something I used to eat in college when I was broke and too stoned to cook. But in Japan, beans, especially soybeans, are revered. They're sacred. They're the protein of choice for people who outlive their cardiologists. And here's the thing, the elders who live to 100 aren't just eating tofu, miso, edamame. They're doing it with intention, with ritual, with a kind of soft respect that says, this little bean is about to become part of my body. I should probably thank it first. Now let me introduce you to someone. Meet Sister Amiko, 84, Buddhist nun, tofu whisperer, and the unofficial grandmother of her mountain village. Every morning she prepares her miso soup in silence. Not because she's pious, but because she believes noise distracts the spirit of the food. She steams tofu like she's raising a child. She thanks the beans before cooking, literally bows to them. When asked why, she smiled and said, if you want the food to bless your body, you should probably stop yelling at it with your microwave. Now before you roll your eyes, let's remember something your doctor won't tell you. You are not a machine. You're a garden. And your food? It's the soil. Soybeans are packed with complete plant proteins that don't raise your blood pressure, isoflavones that help reduce inflammation, prebiotic fiber that keeps your gut flora happier than a monk on a hammock. But science aside, here's the real truth. Most Western seniors don't have a protein deficiency. They have a presence deficiency. They eat out of habit, out of hurry, out of fear, but not out of connection. And that's where beans, yes, beans, become your spiritual teachers. Because they ask for patience. They ask you to soak, to season, to slow down. They don't bark at you like bacon. They sit there, quiet and full of potential. Let's meet someone else. Frank, 73, former construction worker, semi-retired skeptic, and tofu hater turned convert. Frank used to believe tofu was soy-flavored sadness. He thought plant-based diets were for people who wear hemp sandals and complain about Mercury retrograde. Then his doctor said the word pre-diabetic, and his wife said, we're watching this documentary, which is marital code for, you're about to change, or I'm about to leave you for a Buddhist chef. So Frank made a deal. Twice a week, he'd eat a tofu stir-fry. No lectures, no yoga, just try it. 3 weeks later, blood pressure dropped, joint pain eased, no more naps that felt like small comas. And most importantly, Frank admitted that he didn't hate tofu anymore. In fact, he liked how it made him feel. Clear, clean, lighter. From a Buddhist psychology view, tofu is the perfect metaphor for aging well. It's soft but strong, plain but adaptable. It takes on the flavor of whatever it's paired with, just like your mood, your mindset, your whole nervous system. When you eat animal protein, you often take on the stress of the creature. When you eat beans, you absorb quiet resilience, the kind of stillness that grows underground, far from the noise. Ram Dass would probably say, if you can't be the silence in the room, at least eat the thing that grew in it. Try this tonight. Pan-fry tofu with garlic and bok choy, or make miso soup with seaweed, tofu, and a little ginger. Eat it slowly. No phone, no TV, just you and the bean. And if you're feeling bold, whisper a little thank you before the first bite. No one will hear you, but your nervous system will. Let's go back to Sister Amiko. She once said, the spirit of a person changes when they start eating food that doesn't scream. That may sound poetic, but maybe poetry is the medicine we need after decades of being told to eat for speed, size, and protein grams. Because here's what you'll notice once you slow down. The food gets better. your body gets quieter, and your thoughts, they stop yelling. Not bad for a bean. Coming up next, the live food that heals your gut, your grief, and possibly your bad attitude. Yes, it's fermented. No, it doesn't come in a pill. Part 3. Your gut has been screaming since 1973. You just thought it was acid reflux. There's something living inside you right now. Thousands of tiny beings. Quiet, tireless, ancient. No, not ghosts. Though at a certain age, that's not off the table. I'm talking about your gut microbiome, the invisible monks of your belly. They don't chant, they don't wear robes, but they do decide whether you feel like a wise elder or a bloated corpse trapped in orthopedic shoes. And here's the kicker. They're starving. After decades of processed foods, late-night regrets, and microwave dinners eaten over the sink, your gut bacteria are clinging to life like Buddhist monks in a nightclub. Which brings us to today's overlooked miracle, fermented foods. Miso, natto, pickled vegetables, fermented seaweed. The Japanese don't take probiotics in a capsule. They eat living food, food with a pulse, with a history, with a bacterial army that says, "We got you, Grandma." Let me tell you about someone. Meet Claire, 70, retired librarian, and self-diagnosed gastronomic disaster. For years, Claire's stomach sounded like a jazz band. Every meal was followed by bloating, brain fog, and a ritual she called the Great Lie Down. She tried everything: fiber powders, enzyme pills, the probiotic aisle at Whole Foods, which, let's be honest, is where dreams and retirement savings go to die. Then a friend gave her a jar of real, unpasteurized miso. Claire didn't change her entire diet. She just started sipping a warm cup of miso broth every morning. One spoonful of something alive before the coffee, the news, or the noise. By week 2, she felt something shift. The bloating, gone. Her thoughts, clearer. She started calling it the quiet cup. Not because it made her feel full, but because it made her feel calm. Now, why does this matter for seniors? Because your gut isn't just where you digest your food. It's where you digest your life. From a Buddhist lens, the gut is your second mind, the place where unresolved emotions camp out until they're fed or released. Grief, anger, loneliness, they all show up in the belly. And when that belly is inflamed, clogged, or coated in sadness-soaked sausage grease, those feelings stay trapped. Fermented foods untrap you, not magically, not instantly, but rhythmically, like monks chanting in your intestines. They reduce inflammation, they enhance nutrient absorption, and they restore the natural balance you lost somewhere between your first antacid and your 5th visit to the gastroenterologist who keeps suggesting fiber as if it's a personality fix. Buddhist psychology teaches that inner balance isn't found, it's cultivated. It comes from listening, stillness, surrender, and yes, sometimes it comes from bacteria. Dr. Hinohara, that sly 105-year-old rascal, didn't start his mornings with protein shakes or bran flakes. He had miso soup. Warm, gentle, alive. And that small act, repeated daily, became more than food. It became a ritual of vitality. Now some of you may be thinking, but I take probiotic pills. Sure. And some people use GPS to walk across the street. Doesn't mean it's the best method. Real fermented foods don't just deliver isolated strains, they deliver synergy, the full community of microbes, enzymes, and nutrients that work together like a Buddhist sangha inside your colon. You don't need to eat a tub of kimchi, you just need to eat something alive. Let me offer you a challenge. The 7-day gut peace ritual. Each morning for 7 days, sip a warm cup of miso broth. Not a soup with noodles and distractions, just broth. Drink it in silence. Let your belly feel the warmth. Imagine the bacteria waking up like monks at dawn. Notice how your body feels, not just physically, but emotionally. You'll likely notice less bloat, more energy, and maybe, just maybe, a softer sense of being. Let's go back to Claire. She didn't just heal her digestion, she started planting herbs, writing letters, smiling before breakfast. Her belly stopped being her battlefield. It became her anchor. She now says, I don't eat miso because I have to. I eat it because it remembers me when I forget myself. And that is the whole point. So the next time you feel bloated, anxious, or like the world is moving too fast, don't reach for another pill. Reach for the quiet food, the food that's been whispering, I can help, for thousands of years. Because maybe what you need isn't a cleanse. It's a reunion with your gut, your breath, and your body's natural rhythm. And if that comes in the form of soup that smells like seaweed and childhood confusion, Well, so be it. Up next, the one food Americans fear more than carbs, but Okinawan elders eat every single day, and credit it for their soft knees and scandalously strong hearts. Hint, it's purple. It's a root, and it doesn't care about your low-carb diet. Part 4. The sweet potato that saved my marriage. In the West, we fear carbs like their ex-boyfriends. You mention potato at a senior health talk, and someone clutches their glucose meter like a rosary. But in Okinawa, where people live so long they have birthdays in triple digits, carbs are sacred, especially one, the Japanese purple sweet potato. Not fried, not candied, just steamed. Soft, humble. Violet like a bruised ego that finally gave up. Let me tell you a love story. Meet Irene and Harold, married 52 years but arguing for 51. Mostly about food. Harold wanted meat and more meat. Irene, after watching a documentary narrated by someone suspiciously calm, wanted to eat like a Buddhist. They fought over carbs, fought over quinoa. But one day Irene served steamed Japanese sweet potatoes with ginger and sesame. Harold frowned, took a bite. He chewed slowly, blinked, said nothing. The next day he asked for them again. By week 2, they were eating together again, not in silence or resentment, but in rhythm. Because that's what sweet potatoes do. They slow you down. They're not the enemy. They're the middle path. High in fiber, full of antioxidants, easy on the pancreas and gentle, like a food that forgives you for decades of Atkins diets and toast trauma. From a Buddhist view, carbs aren't evil. Attachment is. We cling to food rules to feel in control. But sometimes, the most radical act of health is a root vegetable. So here's your permission slip. You don't need to fear carbs. You need to fear living your last 10 years afraid of potatoes. Steam one. Split it with someone you love, or someone you can at least tolerate over lunch. And when you taste it, say thank you, not just to the food, but to your body for still being here to enjoy it. Next up, a lesson that has nothing to do with food, and everything to do with why Dr. Hinohara was still writing books in his 90s, walking stairs at 100, and annoying death itself with joy. Part 5. Routine is a temple, not a prison. Most of us treat routine like a punishment. Same breakfast, same chair, same beige cardigan, until death taps you on the shoulder and says, I was waiting for a little variety, but okay. But for Dr. Hinohara, Japan's oldest practicing physician, routine was sacred. Not boring, not robotic, sacred. He didn't chase novelty. He woke up, had miso soup, walked the stairs instead of taking the elevator, and read something wise before the world started shouting. And this wasn't discipline, it was devotion. Because rhythm isn't just for drummers or toddlers. It's how elders thrive. Spiritually, cognitively, biologically. Routine tells your body you're safe, which, for a nervous system that survived grief, retirement, and 37 medications, is the kindest thing you can say. Meet Marie, 71, retired teacher, proud label reader, and anxiety addict. Her days were filled with health podcasts and panic. She counted carb protein grams and regrets, but never her breaths. Then her phone broke. Accidentally dropped, or spiritually yeeted, we'll never know. With no app to control her meals, she just ate. She walked 20 minutes, made tea, planted herbs on her windowsill and watched them grow, slowly, quietly, just like her. Turns out, you don't need a smartwatch to wake up. In Buddhist psychology, this is the return to rhythm. Not a life built on alarms, but on presence. When every repeated act, walking, stirring soup, even folding laundry, becomes a mini temple of peace. Ram Dass would say, if you're bored doing the same thing every day, maybe it's not the routine that's boring. Maybe it's you. Harsh, but accurate. So here's your new routine. Walk in the morning, even if it's just to the mailbox. Drink tea with both hands. Smile while eating your weird fermented stuff, not because you have to, but because ritual is how you tell time to slow down and life to stay a little longer. Next, we go off script. Why laughter, not kale, might be the real superfood, and how a 78-year-old grandpa accidentally became TikTok famous for saying, screw it, with a smile. Part 6. The forbidden secret, laughing is better than kale. Here's something your doctor won't tell you, because it won't raise your good cholesterol or win you any medals. Laughter is a superfood. Possibly the only one that doesn't need to be steamed, tracked, or chewed. And yet most seniors treat it like dessert. Optional, indulgent, and best enjoyed in private, which is a shame. Because the elders who live the longest aren't always the ones who eat perfectly. They're the ones who laugh imperfectly, with missing teeth and full-body wheezes. Meet Donnie, 78, widower, former mechanic, and unlikely TikTok star. After his wife passed, he was alone in a house full of silence and soup cans. His granddaughter set up a phone and said, "Just talk," so he did. About anything. His knees, his hemorrhoids, the neighbor's ridiculous dog sweater collection. Millions watched. Why? Because he was funny and didn't care who knew it. He wasn't trying to go viral, he was trying to survive. With style. Laughter, scientifically speaking, reduces cortisol, boosts immunity, improves blood vessel function, and maybe, just maybe, makes your spirit lighter when your bones get heavier. But Buddhist psychology takes it further. Laughter is the moment the ego shuts up, the brief death of self-seriousness. The reminder that even your worst day is just a passing cloud, possibly wearing clown shoes. Ram Dass once said, "If you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family." We'd add, if you want to heal, start laughing at yourself, not just with others. So here's your prescription. Watch something silly. Not smart silly, stupid silly. Call an old friend and ask, "Remember that time?" You know the one. Laugh until something hurts, and then keep going. That's how you know it's working. Because maybe the key to longevity isn't discipline. Maybe it's just not taking your suffering so seriously. Next, feeling lonely? You're not broken. You're human. And the answer might be steeped in 90-degree water. Let's talk about tea and why it's more powerful than any antidepressant you've tried. Part 7. Loneliness is a health condition. Tea is the prescription. Loneliness doesn't show up on a blood test. You won't get a diagnosis that says stage 2 emotional drought. But make no mistake, it's killing more seniors than sugar ever will. And the cruel part, it doesn't hit like a heart attack. It seeps in, quiet, beige, and polite, like waiting room music. You go from "I'm fine" to "I talk to my toaster now" without realizing you're starved for connection. Enter tea. Not the green tea they sell with collagen powder and guilt. I mean real tea. Warm, steeped, held in both hands like you're praying without a god. Because sometimes what you need isn't another human. It's a ritual that holds space as if someone were there. Meet Elias, 76, lost his dog last year, hasn't spoken to his son since 2012. He started drinking chamomile alone at 3 p.m. No talking, just sitting, listening to the hum of the kettle and the silence that used to scare him. One day he added a second mug. He didn't know why. Maybe hope, maybe memory. 3 weeks later, he started inviting the neighbor, not for deep talks, just tea. It became a thing. They don't fix the world. They just sit, steep, sip, smile. Buddhist psychology calls this mindful presence, the act of doing one thing with full attention on purpose. Tea isn't just hydration, it's companionship in liquid form. It slows your breath, softens your gut, reminds you that you're still here. Ram Dass would say, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. Sometimes the tea speaks louder than the therapist. So try it. Pick a time. Make it sacred. Brew tea. Sit down. No TV, no scrolling. Be with yourself, even if part of you wants to flee. Because healing isn't always social. Sometimes it's steeped. Next, let's visit the last chapter, where Japanese elders quietly accept what the West fears most: death, aging, letting go, and why that surrender might be the real secret to living past 100. Part 8. What Japanese elders know that we forgot. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Western culture doesn't prepare you for old age. It prepares you to fight it. It sells you anti-wrinkle creams and active senior supplements, all while whispering, just pretend you're still 42 and nobody dies. But in Okinawa, in the mountain villages of Japan, old age isn't the enemy. It's a rite of passage, a return, a soft descent, a final poem in a long, weathered book. Dr. Hinohara lived to 105, not because he feared death, but because he befriended it. He stayed curious, wrote books in his 90s, took stairs at 100, smiled as if death were just another dinner guest running late. He didn't live in denial. He lived in rhythm. Meet Aiko, 101, former midwife, full-time village legend. When asked her secret, she said, "I make friends with my body every morning, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts." Aiko doesn't eat fast. She doesn't multitask. And when she's done with her meal, she bows to the food, to the moment, to her life. Buddhist teaching reminds us, everything that arises will pass away. Your youth, your waistline, your Facebook password. The point isn't to stop death. The point is to stop forgetting you're alive. In Japan, elders aren't discarded. They're honored, not for how useful they are, but for what they've become. Still, light, empty of nonsense, full of presence. So what did we really learn today? That you don't need a strict diet to live longer. You need rhythm, joy, beans that love you back, and the courage to leave your plate 20% empty, like a soft little prayer. We saw how miso soup can quiet the belly and the grief, how tofu, though tasteless, might just be the most forgiving friend you'll ever have. How sweet potatoes saved a marriage, how laughter cured a man faster than any supplement, and how a lonely cup of tea became a ritual that whispered, "You're still here," and that matters. This wasn't about food. It was about the sacred art of aging and how to stop fighting it like it's your final enemy. So if you smiled, sighed, or caught yourself whispering, "That's me," then leave a comment. Your story might help someone else breathe a little easier today. And if you'd like to see more videos for hearts that are older, wiser, and wonderfully weird, tap that little subscribe button. It helps our channel, Buddhist Wisdom for the Elderly, reach 1,000 beautiful souls just like you. Because in the end, life isn't measured in calories or steps or supplements. It's measured in quiet moments, joyful meals, and the jokes we tell while slowly turning into our grandparents. Now go enjoy something warm, eat slow, laugh once, and bow to your breath. We'll see you in the next one.